There's a growing wealth gap in America today, according to Statista. The publication reports. As of the first quarter of 2025, the top 10% of earners owned at least 2/3 of the total wealth in the United States. Meanwhile, the bottom 50% owned just 2.5. Meanwhile, on the other end of the spectrum, my friends over at CNBC report that young people want to save, but they're not sure they actually are. They discovered that adults between the ages of 18 and 25 at a clip of 59% believe that saving for a funded savings account should be their top priority. According to a survey commissioned by my friends at Intuit. Meanwhile, among Gen Z adults ages 18 to 27, only 15% were putting money away regularly in a savings account. This according to a survey commissioned by Bankrate earlier this year. The survey also revealed that Gen Zs believe that they could use their savings account to cover an emergency expense totaling $1,000. For my friend Richard McWhorter, he spent more than 32 years as a certified financial planner and a dynamic financial advisor. He currently serves as a private wealth advisor and managing partner of SRM Private Wealth. He has built his reputation on guiding high net worth individuals, including athletes and celebrities, musicians as well, through high stakes and complex financial journeys and modern wealth management. His approach is deeply personal, blending financial acumen with a genuine commitment to support philanthropic causes. He was named to the 2024 Forbes Best in State Wealth Advisor list. He's held leadership roles, including at Merrill Lynch, Smith & Barney, and has helped to guide his clients through every financial scenario imaginable. And McWhorter joined me this week to have a conversation about closing the modern wealth gap, how to successfully manage financial wealth, and so much more. I'm Kevin McShann. Let's have this conversation. If you're ready, I'll take a moment to welcome you to the program, my friend, and I'm super excited to learn about your journey helping people be the best they can be, my friend. Great to see you, and happy Wednesday to you.
Thank you, and thank you for having me on this morning.
Absolutely, my friend. And I'm wondering if we can start our conversation, because I know that you've established a solid reputation for guiding high net worth individuals and families, including athletes and musicians, through complex financial and life journeys, my friend. So I'm wondering about your experience in wealth management and what makes you so fabulous, my friend.
Well, I appreciate that. I've been doing this a long time. I started when I was 17 years old as an intern, right after high school, and learned for about 3 years under a variety of different financial advisors. Some of it what to do and some what not to do, and then became a financial advisor in 1992. And over the last 32 years, we've been very fortunate to come across people and meet people and learn about people and their needs. And that's what we've been trying to accomplish all these years, is just trying to help people out.
Yeah, absolutely. And my friend, I'm also curious to ask you about protecting financial, insecurity. With the government shutdown in the U.S., there are a million people who are either furloughed or out of work completely, and there are a lot of uneasy people feeling the economic uncertainty of today. So I'm wondering your thoughts on how we can protect the financial viability of Americans and people today. My friend, what are your thoughts there?
And that's the tough one. There's a variety of different levels of income. To take a step back, there's a lot to do with what is success in our lives, right? Is it money? Is it family? Is it experiences? What do we determine as success? First of all. Second of all is that I do think that there's so many different things that come into play when we're talking about being financially secure, financially independent, and during these times, being able to weather these storms during a government shutdown. There has to be, in my opinion, planning on the what ifs. We look at the idea that an income is going to continue to come in, that an income is going to continue to be at a certain level. But the reality is that could change at any moment for any of us. And so we have to make sure that we're planning on the what ifs. Some of this stuff we can't plan on. A government shutdown does happen, and it's happened before, and this is the longest, I think, in history, or right at that level. Mm-hmm. So the question is that how much planning do individuals do in case the government is not there to help them with programs that have been in place for 30, 40, 50 years, and decide that we're not going to pay on SNAP benefits and other items like that?
Yeah, absolutely. And I know that your approach to financial planning is uniquely tied to philanthropy, my friend. And so tell me why giving back is so important to you, and about your unique financial approach, my friend.
So there's two sides to that. The first side is I grew up with a brother that was handicapped. He had muscular dystrophy. Unfortunately, passed away a number of years ago now. But he, when you grow up with someone with a disability, you see what's necessary, you see what's needed, you see how organizations may help, and what kind of impact raising funds for those programs, for them is necessary, and what it could do. So I did see that growing up, and as I got older and I started dealing with people with money, we would work with them or guide them to find different ways to be impactful for those in more need, or for programs that are in need to help those that have some type of issue.
Yeah, and Richard, as you know, I was also born with cerebral palsy, and I am a speaker who speaks to organizations about the importance of hiring folks with disabilities. And I'm curious, from a financial perspective, how do you think we can protect the best interest of folks with disabilities? Because it's my belief the best way to do that, and the best way to a secure economic certainty is by giving them a job. And I'm wondering your thoughts on how we protect the financial interest of individuals with disabilities, my friend.
Well, I think the easy answer is giving them a job. That's the easy answer. The second answer to that, from my perspective, is giving opportunity. Mm-hmm. Right? There's a difference between giving a job that does certain tasks or whatever that may be. There's also giving people the opportunity to grow and expand. And I think that there's a lot to that, with anybody really, but with people with handicap especially. And I think, unfortunately, I think a lot of people with disabilities get pigeonholed into certain areas and are not given those opportunities for whatever reason. And I think we need to open up our eyes to the idea that of the capabilities of anybody, but really specifically in this situation, people with disability.
Yeah, absolutely. So what do you think it's going, just one follow-up to that, what do you think it's going to take to eliminate the bias or perceived preconceived notions of employers to infuse more people with disabilities into the workforce? What are your thoughts there?
Someone to do it. I think a lot of the things is, proof of concept, proof of, showing that this does work and that giving opportunity is more impactful and beneficial than just giving a position and then putting a person of disability into that position and kind of leaving them there without any really opportunity of growth. I do think that proof of concept is a big deal. I also think that, listen, in any of this stuff, race, gender, sexual preference, whatever it may be, there's bias. And unfortunately, I think there's a lot of ignorance in our system about what people can do, no matter what part of that you're in. Any one of those categories is what I meant. And I do think that we need to get past that. We need to see people for people and not for people for anything else.
Yeah, absolutely. And Richard, I know that congratulations is in order because you were recently named to the Forbes 2024 Best in State Wealth Advisor list, my friend, which of course reflects your insights and integrity in serving your clients and the service you provide, my friend. So tell me, what does the honor mean to you and how does it inspire you to serve more people with the platform that you have, my friend?
So for me, any award like this is wonderful to receive. It's a scorecard on what somebody like Forbes or any other publication thinks that I am doing. It's very much secondary to my clients and their want to employ me and hire me to take care of some very intimate parts of their lives, their finances, their estate planning, their philanthropy, their kids, their secrets. There's so many different layers to this. That's much more important to me than an award personally, but it is obviously wonderful to receive any type of award because it's that moment of recognition of years of just kind of doing what I do.
Yeah, absolutely. And, Richard, I'm curious to ask you about your perspective on effective leadership because you've held leadership roles for Merrill Lynch and Smith and Barney, and you've also helped high-profile clients navigate financial situations that most people don't have a chance to deal with. So I'm curious about your thoughts on effective leadership and helping people align their wealth with their purpose and passion in life. My friend, what are your thoughts then?
There's two different levels there, right? So there's the leadership within a firm, and then there's the leadership with clients. There's a lot of modeling with the leadership in firms. I've been doing this 32 years. I'm still putting in 12 to 15-hour days. I love what I do. I study the economy primarily a lot. I love kind of being curious and trying to understand ramifications of policies and comments that even just as simple as comments that people make. I kind of allow myself to go down these different rabbit holes and try to understand and learn. And modeling that, I think, in the leadership within a firm around for those that are around you is very important. As far as clients are concerned, my leadership, I think, or the reason that they employ me is that I'm able to, or try to, be the unbiased opinion that they can use to make financial and life decisions. And they come to me with a variety of different things, and we've been fortunate enough to be involved in so many different aspects of their lives. But I do think that there's this need for them to have somebody that they can bounce things off and understand that it's not just to benefit me in some way, but it's for their benefit specifically. And that's what I think I bring to the table and I think what differentiates me from a lot of people is that want to just give an unbiased opinion.
Yeah, absolutely. And my friend, I know you also have experience in the areas of asset protection and estate planning and cultivating, fundraising vehicles for charitable initiatives. So I'm wondering your thoughts on diverse financial planning, and if people have to go through those stages or parts of their life, what should they know about successful financial planning from your perspective, my friend?
Yeah, so everyone's different, right? Everyone has different ways of doing things, and everyone reacts differently to the same situation. You and I would react differently to something that occurs, or we have different thoughts in regards to things. So each one of the clients that we work with are just different human beings, and understanding that human being and the needs on the financial planning, the estate planning side of it. The philanthropy is a little bit different for me. The philanthropy is something where I need to find ways to raise money for organizations that either the client brings to me or I bring to the client in some format. And then how do we design fundraising? How do we design projects that they might be interested in? And by doing that, I'm able to, one of the things that I worked on was I always put together events that ultra high net worth individuals could not buy. And so I always wanted to put together music concerts with artists that they want. We've done celebrity fashion designers and their friends dressing very wealthy women, and things that were unique and something they just don't do all the time. There's a lot of events that occur, and they do just fine, golf tournaments and galas and things like that. I like to be a lot more creative than that, especially with the type of people that we have been fortunate enough to deal with.
Yeah, and to that point, you mentioned that you've worked with people in sports and entertainment for a large portion of your career, and I'm curious about the impact their financial decisions make on the rest of their lives, because as you know, the average professional career in sports anyway is about 3.5 years if you're lucky, and if you're lucky, you've got a great financial planner to help you manage effectively that money. So when you're done playing or entertaining people, you have a nest egg or a nest wealth to sort of fall back on. So I'm curious about your desire to work with celebrities and those who work in sports and entertainment and helping them make financial decisions that really set them up for the future. What are your thoughts there?
Yeah, so financial literacy is 90% of that. Understanding, I'm just a numbers guy, so just showing them, I'll give you a quick example. So if I deal with an entertainer that signs, let's say, a $10 million contract, it's a lot of money. And if you look at it, if I start off with $10 million and I sign this contract, 20 to 25% off the top comes off for agent, manager, business manager, lawyer. It's kind of how we figure it. And then after that, I pay taxes. So my 10 million, let's say we take 20% off, now it becomes 8 million. After the 25, then I got to pay taxes on that. And in California, taxes are quite high on the state level. So let's say it's just for round numbers, 40%. So now I'm down, after everything, I'm down to about $5.8 million. Now, to your point is that average lifespan of a player, depends on the sport, but players between 3 to 6 years. So how many of those $10 million checks am I going to get? And if in Los Angeles specifically, if I have let's say, going back to our numbers, if I have $5.8 million that I received in my first contract, I can buy a home. Mm-hmm. Home in California is a couple $1 million. So now I've got 3.8. And then I want to buy a car, and I might want to buy family something, all those types of things. So when you really start to break it down, that number from $10 million comes down very, very quickly. And I think what gets a lot of people into trouble is they're not looking at the number. They're looking at the headlines. They need to, from the word go, budget, first of all, understand, and then second of all, to budget based on that. And that's very, very difficult. And it's been very difficult. And there's been, unfortunately, many, many failures, more failures than not, on people that are in financial distress just 2 or 3 or 4 years after their retirement. Some of it is just, once again, not going through the numbers and understanding those. Some of it's bad advice. And some other financial mistakes or bad investments, bad advice, whatever you want to say. And ultimately, then what do they do next after that 3-year period of time or 6-year period of time? What do they do next? And those are the types of things, the conversations that we have with our clients for them to understand how this potentially works.
Yeah, absolutely. And Richard, I'm also curious to ask you your definition, or how you define innovation in financial planning. So how do you think innovation is interconnected with financial planning?
Now, innovation's tough, and innovation's more for me on the back end. The conversations that I have with high net worth, ultra high net worth, musicians, entertainers, athletes, it's just a human conversation. That doesn't change. There's no innovation to that. You and I are having the same conversation we could have had 20 years ago in different medium and different everything, but we're having just a conversation. So a lot of that is just human beings talking, getting to know one another over a period of time. What I would say to you is that behind the scenes, the innovation that I can use is my ability to learn. I have full access. 30 years ago when I started the business, I'd have to go to the library and we get microfiche, and we would have, it was very cumbersome on how we were able to receive our information. Nowadays, I can get books. If you told me a book right now, I can get it on my iPad in 30 seconds. And so our ability to learn, our ability to employ technology, our ability to employ AI, all of those types of things behind the scenes help us with that conversation that we're having with ultra high net worth musicians, entertainers, etc. So that's how I see that happening. For me, what changed my career was learning. Trying to understand, not, we get so wrapped up in the policies, and we get so wrapped up in just having conversations about this is what the left thinks, this is what the right thinks. For me, it's what are the ramifications from whatever the right's saying or whatever the left is saying. And so trying to understand those ramifications and going down and really getting as much information as we possibly can, which is, once again, so easy to get these days. That's my personal innovation, is myself, my knowledge, my want to learn about that stuff, that curiosity.
Yeah, absolutely. And Richard, I'm also curious to ask you about financial inequality. I think of something about Bernie Sanders, the senator from Vermont, always advocates for giving more wealth to the middle class in America specifically. And I'm curious on your thoughts on how to eliminate financial bias and to create a thriving financial middle, and the role that the government plays in that discussion as well. Well, so you can take that question in any direction you wish, my friend.
No, it's a tough question, and financial inequality and the disparity between the rich, ultra rich, whatever you want to say, and the middle and lower classes is just getting bigger and bigger and bigger. And I think it's going to get much worse before it gets much better, unfortunately. I do think that the government is going to have to find ways to create some type of safety net, potentially. I know that a lot of people in technology would absolutely disagree with what I have to say right now, but I do think that AI is going to be a game changer, and I do think that we're not even we're in the first inning of that. So how does the question I have is that, once again, because there is no certainty to any of this, but the questions I would have are, what would the government be able to do, right? Could they regulate somehow or put restrictions on how much AI or jobs can be replaced? I don't know if that's true. Could they increase the amount of opportunities that are potentially coming from new jobs or schooling or retraining? Maybe there's something there. Could we do something like during the New Deal where we did infrastructure and we were able to hire people? And but the flip side of that is that we're sitting on $38 trillion in federal debt. Mm-hmm. And so how much power do they truly have? Listen, we can continue to print for as long as we can print, right? As long as people are willing to buy our bonds, or I know we do that a lot of it internally within the government, but how would the government be able to change that in a capitalistic society without, Andrew Yang, for example, who ran for president back, I believe, in 2020, he was talking about universal basic income, and is that the way we're going to do it? And we're going to tax the corporations higher on so they can't avoid the taxes, and secondarily to that is that we would tax the rich more, but that still has to be redeployed somehow to the middle and lower class of incomes. So that as I said, it's a very tough question, because I just don't know truly how the federal government could directly impact that being without just starting to send out checks like a universal basic income.
Yeah, absolutely. It's a discussion we could probably have for another couple of hours, I'm sure. But
there's too many, Kevin. There's too many questions to it. There's too many what ifs. There's, and that's the wonderful thing. By the way, it's part of what, like I was saying before, is that you look at going down and critically thinking through these things. And it's wonderful to say the government's just going to send us these checks, but the reality is that we have ramifications to that, right? Which is more debt, or we tax the corporations, or we tax the rich, and what does that do to the economy? And so there's all those things have to be thought out and discussed.
Yeah, absolutely. And Richard, I've got two questions left for you. And the first of those questions is this, my friend. Do you think there's a correlation between being financially disciplined and having financial success? What are your thoughts there, my friend?
Yeah, what's financial success? Once again, is that financial success is having $1 million, $5 million, $10 million, $1 billion. Financial discipline, no matter where your income at, is absolutely a necessity. I have people. I was taking care of a friend of mine's mom's investments, and she had $250,000 to her name, right? And she lived just fine. She had her Social Security check, and she stayed within her means, and she lived the rest of her life happy for what she had. I have people with 9 figures that spend 7 figures a month. So at some point, do they go bankrupt, right? Can they spend through that money? And the answer is maybe, right? If they keep spending at this level, they will. So the question is, what's financial success? Financial success is living happily within your means. And everybody has this idea of, I just want more money. I just want to be able to do this. I want to be able to buy that. The question for me is that important? Is it important to have a Gucci bag, let's say, right? And spend $1,500 on that, even though I make $4,000 a month, right? So, I just don't know what makes somebody happy. And I would have to, each person's so different in that. And so financial success is hard to determine, but living within your means, let me put it this way, living within your means is an absolute necessity. Otherwise, you're going to take on more debt. It's going to get worse and worse and worse, and there will be an end point to that.
Yeah, absolutely. And my final question for you today has to do with your own personal and professional legacy and how you want that to be defined.
I don't really think about my legacy all that much, to be honest. I have 6 kids. That's my legacy. So the financially or professionally, I think my clients every single day tell me that they want to work with me. That's the most important thing to me. And I know that sounds very Pollyanna-ish, but the reality is that that's really all that means anything to me. If I come in every day and I take care of my clients and they're happy and we build this business up a little bit at a time, and that's what's important to me. That's my legacy, is that people would say that I did a good job for them, or I took care of them, or he was honest and had integrity, and that's legacy for me. Beyond that, I'm not going to be one of these political figures that are going to have books written about them. That's just not who I am. And so at the end of the day, I kind of stay in my lane and do my thing. And as I said, my clients determine every single day whether they're going to continue to work with me or not, and that's important to me.
Yeah, absolutely. And finally, my friend, if people want to get connected with you, what's the best way they can do that?
Yeah, so on LinkedIn, I'm at Richard McWhorter, McWhorter, and our website here at SRM, that's Sam Robert Mary, privatewealth.com. You can reach out to me anytime.
Fantastic. Well, my friend, this was a wide-ranging and diverse discussion about financial wealth and quality, my friend. I want to thank you for your work in the space and for engaging in conversation with me this afternoon. It's most appreciated.
Thank you, Kevin, and I appreciate the time today.